Welcome back, guys, to a brand new REA recap for the summer 2024 auction. There's some very high sales reaching almost $400,000 at this auction. So just limiting to a top 25 cards tends to be a little bit difficult. We'll have some honorable mentions at the end. But that being said, let's go over a little bit of criteria. Buyer's premium is 20% for this auction, I believe, unless that has changed. Taxes and shipping are not included, prices shown. Remember, there's always going to be that ad over there. I can't 100% confirm if a buyer has paid for the card or not, just because we're recording this shortly after the auction. And okay, so up first, we're going to be taking a look at a 1921 Babe Ruth postcard out of Japan. On the REA description, they said there's two known examples. When I was looking at this, I'm thinking this is possibly the first Japanese Babe Ruth card or even the first foreign issue Babe Ruth card. I can't think of anything else that was issued earlier in his career outside the United
Yeah,
States.
I can't think of any either. No, I don't think so.
And this one sold for $60,000 essentially, which again makes it very tough for a top 25. Up next, a classic card from the Junk Wax era, 1993 Upper Deck SP Jeter in the SGC 10. You can find these in high grade and they're cheap, but as soon as you get into that 9 or 10 grade, I mean, these skyrocket. I don't know if it's the New York money or obviously Jeter's pretty popular even outside of New York, but people want their 10s. This one sold for 60 grand.
Yeah, the decision to go with SGC is kind of interesting for this. Mostly you see stuff like this in a PSA holder. So the decision to go with SGC is, I don't know. I mean, their own choice. They got 60 grand out of it, so good for them. It's an interesting choice. I wonder what it would, chances it would 10 in a PSA, and then of course the money implications behind that, are probably pretty good. But we don't usually see a lot of 90 stuff on these lists in SGCs, so
No,
this is
you
a little
don't.
unique for us.
Yeah, I mean, I just did the Junk Wax video and a 9 of the Jeter. I want to say PSA 9 sold for either 3 or 4 grand. So
Yeah,
I don't know what an SGC 9 would be, but a lot of those people just want straight PSA.
yeah,
All right, 1921 Coaster Bread. I actually wasn't too familiar with this one. So it has the same design as the E121s, but in the description it's talking about this actually uses a different card stock. So
hmm.
I assume I wouldn't make this assumption, but I'm sure there's a few E121s that got slabbed as E121s and they're actually Coaster Breads. But this one sold for 66 grand. It was distributed during the first, what we call today a Subway Series, because you had the Giants versus the Yankees in the World Series.
Yeah, newer slab, nice looking card.
It's a
New,
great looking for.
somebody just popped this over and did really well. It's a really nice looking card. Earlier one of him, just really nice.
Keto 6 Old Mill Cobb. I mean, there's not much to say. This is the most desirable front-facing Cobb card, not the back, but Old Mill is still not the easiest to find out there. And obviously, when a four goes for almost $70,000, it shows you the market for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Old Mill, not the rarest back, but definitely up there. I mean, it's definitely one of the rarer backs you can see, especially when you talk about some of the color variations and things like that that come with the text and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, this is a really nice looking card. Normally we'd complain about the older label here, but that's a nice looking form, man. I gotta say, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, the only thing is this top left corner looked a little bit bad, but beyond that, I mean, it's probably about accurately graded. All right, another rare back. Well, this was way rare. The Broadleaf 460 Christy Mathewson dark cap. If you guys aren't familiar with this card, he actually has two variants. There's a dark cap, and then there's also the white cap. I don't know if there's really much of a premium in one of the other, but something I'll have to do some research in the future. The auction said this is the highest graded combo between the Broadleaf 460 and the dark cap, and again, sold close to $70,000.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really nice card. Those backs, man, some of them are different when you talk about the price between them. It looks really nice.
Up next, 1961 Oscar Robertson. We were just talking about the 61 set recently. There's one graded higher, which is a 10, obviously, and this one sold for $72,000.
Yeah, this is I mean this is a registry card right here. This is a very popular registry set. Um Normally we'd talk about cracking and signing, but this is not a card to crack and sign. He doesn't sign rookie cards through his signings, so this is a registry card through and through. Somebody's group got a little bit of a bump by this, but this is an expensive card, man. The grades for these, once you start getting up into eights and nines, just due to the centering issues that these cards have, you start talking about a lot of money.
I'm sure if you paid the agent enough money, though, he'll sign that card.
I'm sure the agent would get that. The agent wouldn't himself mind getting that thing signed. Maybe he grabbed it. Maybe he was the one that grabbed it.
Possible. 1968 Nolan Ryan. There's one PSA 10 out there. There's four 1968 rookies. We'll cover the Vinny a little bit later. There's actually an autographed copy that sold at the auction, but this one sold for 72 grand
Yeah, yeah, we see these in the list
all the
pretty
time.
standard.
Another card we see all the time, the 52 mantle. This actually isn't a bad three for an old label, which said this twice already in this video, so I feel like we're gonna get roasted in the comment section. But 78 grand on this three copy.
Yeah, another list item that we see. I feel like every auction that does anything vintage.
32 Caramel Ruth. This is a eight, which you don't see eights that often in the set. And I have to give a shout out to the President set from 1932. It would be interesting though if the Ruth came in blue, red, and orange, how much of a premium that would have on the baseball side of things.
I wish it came in different colors. I like that the President set did that. It adds a little bit more variety to it. I think that's pretty cool. This is a blazer of a card. This thing looks really nice.
You know what I do wonder too? Imagine if the 32 baseball set, the Ruth was the short print like the McKinley. Could you imagine how expensive that card would be?
I'd like to see the McKinley selling an 8, see what that goes for, like this Ruth.
Yeah, well, the five sold for what? Was it 95 grand like 7, 8 years
Yeah.
ago? So it just shows you. 33 Gaudy Garib. I mean, we talked about this card again all the time. There's two with the same exact front design, 93,000, old label. Up next, 1960 Topps Complete Set, 8.08 GPA, 572 cards that were graded. This sold for 96,000. And another full set, the Hassan Triple Folders, 6 GPA, 132 cards graded, also $96,000. Which one would you rather have?
These, I think the 60 is cool, but I think these are super underrated. I have a couple. I think they look really cool. You get kind of a different, two different players sort of blend. You get the action shot plus sort of the portrait. I think these are really awesome. I'm surprised that on the open market they're as cheap as they are, but I would take this one. You could find another 60 set. You could build another 60 set in that grade. This is a little bit harder to do,
That's
in my opinion.
I would agree with you on that. I just think it's the oversized nature that people don't like them.
Yeah.
33 World Gum, Babe Ruth. Same as the Gaudi design in America. These were just issued in Canada. So there's not a premium on the worldwide gums, but they are much tougher. And in a 7 that sold for $96,000. I feel like a Gaudi 7 would way outsell this, but I haven't really
Yeah.
studied the 7 market on this Ruth. 1914 Cracker Jack Joe Jackson. This is the first of the two 1914-15 years on Cracker Jacks. 14s are much tougher to find in higher grade because they weren't issued as a full set. $100,000. And this is a good looking 2.5 in my opinion.
I was gonna say the same thing. This 1914 is a little bit tougher than 1915s. I love the way this looks with an SGC slab, man. I think the red background with that looks amazing. I really like the way this one came out.
Opeachy, Gretzky. I know people are going to complain about those edges, but they were cut with dull blades. Sometimes in the past, I even said it, they were cut with wires, but a few hockey historians reached out to me when I said that and said it was actually dull blades. So that's kind of a hobby myth out there. And the grading companies have even said they don't care about the edges because of that. And
Yeah.
$100,000 for this 9. 1956 complete set and 8 GPA on this. This is the number 20 ranked set. 340 cards and 2 checklists, $111,000.
It is pretty wild that you can have a set like this in an average of an 8 and you're only the 20th best set. That is pretty ridiculous when you think
I would
about
have
it.
thought it'd been way higher up.
That's so like for people that want to do this registry set, like that has to be honestly so demoralizing to think about that you could do this and you would be only the 20th best set. I mean, that is just unbelievable when you think about it.
That's why people go crazy over the tens and spend all that extra money.
Yeah, it's their only shot to be able to, move this thing up. That's pretty wild.
T206 Broadly 460 Cy Young. I believe that was the same back as that Christy Mathewson, but this is a
Yep.
5.5, 111,000. 1980 Ricky Henderson. There's 26 PSE 10s out there. Now this is an old cert, so I don't know specifically how much that impacts the price on the 10s on these, but 111,000. Now this is a card you can get signed by Ricky because we just saw like what 30 or 40 of those get signed on that Instagram reel.
Dude, there was like 200 of them, and I posted that to my story, and people were mad. They were like, "That's not a representation of alive signers. Like that's not what happened." I was like, "Dude, you're just so unaware. Like that happens way more than you think."
Oh, 100%.
With some of these people that like, some of these people that sign these private signings, do you think the agent isn't sitting there getting 40 of them like he
Well,
did in
you
that
sign,
video?
from what I've heard also, as you sign a decent amount. So like they'll bring out someone for a private signing. Okay, 500 autographs today. So then they'll sell some stuff through the card show. Let's say the card show is 300. Then you have 200 autographs at the very end. And those 200s are put on the private market. And there's people that will get all 200 or whatever else it is.
Yeah, yeah.
This was an awesome piece that I saw at the National. The 1915 Boston Red Sox postcard features Ruth Speaker, Joe Wood, not a Hall of Famer, but a lot of people think he should be, and then also Harry Hooper, $114,000.
I think we've covered this postcard before, haven't we?
We might have. I can't remember.
I think we have. This when this came up, I first checked the cert because I was wondering if it was the same copy we had seen before, because I swear we covered this one before.
Different copy?
Well, the cert is so new that
Yeah, it has to.
probably, I mean, we probably covered it earlier this year.
Unless someone crossed an SGC to a PSA, could always
Yeah.
happen. Another Babe Ruth 33 Sports Kings. We've covered it a lot of times. Set features multiple sports over here. $120,000. Although I don't know if it happens on all the roofs. It looks like there's a print defect right over here on that 8. This is an interesting one, especially with all those autos hitting the market. Dual sevens, $120,000. I mean, what's going to happen if Jordan signs more cards? Is this going to plummet or is this going to stay stable? That's an interesting phenomenon.
Yeah, I wish I had the description up for this one because I feel like there was something with the autograph dated wise that they could put a reasonable date range to this, and it was fairly early. I don't have it in front of me, but there are guides out there that exist for Jordan autographs and being able to date them. I think this one was fairly early, although this price wasn't ridiculously high for some of his other signed rookie cards that those sales have happened. This actually wasn't a bad price, and I actually don't think the autograph is that bad. I know it got a 7, but I don't think it's awful. The different color, using purple makes it a little bit easier to see, in my opinion. I actually kind of like this sale. I think that if this is a card you really want, price is pretty good. I think the autograph is fine. The card got a good grade. 7 for a signed one like this is pretty good. I kind of like it.
Nice. This is a card I like, and I know you've almost purchased one of these 49 Bowman Campies. This was the highest graded out there with the 3. I don't know if apparently I think there was 2 3s out there. I don't know if the other one's an auto 10 or an auto 9 or whatever else the grade is, but we covered a 1.5 with an auto 8 that sold for 60K in January. This one sold for 132.
We did, and this is incredible opportunity to buy this card for a ridiculous fraction of what this sold for. I don't think it was this exact copy. This is a newer label, so it could have been.
No, it's a
It
different
was also
copy.
signed in green. But that copy to me wasn't as nice as this one. But I did have an opportunity to buy this for infinitely less than what it sold for. And that is incredibly painful every time. When it sold for 60K, I was like, wow, I'm really bummed that I missed out on getting one. And then I saw this and I was like, dude, that just awful that I had a chance to buy this for a fraction of what it sells for right now.
Also to mention why Campy doesn't have a lot of cards is he got paralyzed in a car accident. I think it was like 58 or 59. So around that time period.
Yeah, I should mention that with 50, it was 58, and that autograph is a pre-accident autograph. He did sign autographs after the accident, but he was hooked up to a signing machine. And the autographs very distinctly are different from what you can see there. That's a clear as day pre-accident autograph.
The 33-34 Nap Lajoie. Essentially, you had to complain to get this card because people wanted to finish their set and they could not find 106. This was the card that was initially supposed to be in spot 106 where the Ruth was double printed, $162,000. There's going to be back-to-back Willie Mays cards. When I built this list initially, this one had a sold price, but apparently the reserve was not met. So I'm still going to keep it in here just based off of where it sold at. But it was somewhere over 162,000 and less than this 8.5 over here that sold for 390,000. Only 8.5, no 10s exist, and there's 8 PSA 9s.
Yeah, that's a huge price, man. That's a lot of money
The
for a
house.
card that isn't the highest graded. I don't know where the prices are on these. I don't have a clue where they come out, but when I saw that, I was like, man, that's a big price. Like that is a lot of money. I don't maybe it's a good price. I don't know. I didn't look at it before, but that's a pretty wild price when you think about the fact that there are 8 cards that are graded higher than it. It's pretty ridiculous.
Just one of those iconic cards in the hobby, too. And
Yeah.
sure, Mansell would sell for more. Now, we're going to jump into some honorable mentions.
Yep.
Cool. All right, so our first honorable mention over here is the 1962 Mars Attack full set. Reason I put in here, this is probably, I'd say it's up there like 1, 2, or 3 most popular non-sports set tops ever released. I mean, the registry guys completely fight over these cards whenever I see them on eBay. The sold price in this one, and it's a lower grade set, but $1,560. I kind of wish they put the second most popular card in that first image, but at least you have the Invasion Begins on here. Up next, another non-sports history of generals. These were a bunch of generals from the Civil War. It is missing the Lee. I would expect it to be in that first image. And this full set of 49 out of 50 sold for $1,620, which seems a little cheap. I'm pretty sure these sets go for about $3,000. So, if someone buys that Lee, you're going to make a nice little profit on this one. This is a card, one of my regrets. I had the opportunity to buy the Varden in this set a few years ago for $1,500, and I passed on it. And Varden completely outsells Hilton on the golf side of things, although Hilton is very good. And it's a regret. Unfortunately, this set also features cricketers. I do have a few of those cricketers. There's still some that I'm missing. And this predates those black Ogdens that are pretty popular, and you can see them everywhere. There's estimated about 25 of these white borders exist for each specific player in the set. At least that's what I've been told from a few people that are in the UK and also Australia that collect them. All right, pretty cool postcard over here. Robinson, Campy, and then also Newcomb. In the two, this one sold for $2,000, which I think is kind of cheap for all those players on there and being a 1950. I mean, you could get a 1950 Bowman, what, in like a 2 to a 3? That's a price point. I'd much rather have this.
See, and I actually thought this price was a little high. Just when you think about, with a lot of the postcard sales, usually when you have like somebody's rookie year or something like that, you see them sell a little bit higher. This isn't rookie year for any of these guys. It's nice, it's cool. $2,000 to me was more than I thought. I was thinking we were talking more, a couple $100. Maybe it's super rare. I don't know any of the specifics around it, but when I just think about what type of postcards generally sell well, it's usually like rookie related or super early or like something like that. These guys have plenty of cards, and it's none of the rookie years. I was honestly pretty surprised at this. Maybe it's a pop one or something.
Isn't it Newcomb's rookie year? Isn't 1950 Newcomb's rookie?
Yeah, he doesn't have a 49, does he?
I don't think he does. And then
Yeah,
if
Don. I Don Newcomb.
no, you're
For
good
things
because you're
that
thinking of Campy that has the 49 and then Jackie.
neither Campy or Jackie is that they're rookie, and those two are, in my opinion,
Those
much
sell the card, not
larger.
Newcomb. Like a Newcomb postcard in
Yeah,
itself
nobody's
would be like a
collecting
$50,
Don
$100
Newcomb.
card. But that's still an awesome piece though.
Yeah,
All right. A Jim at Jeffries over here. Now, this is actually one of those rare cases where oversized cards sell for quite a bit. And this is an extremely rare issue. Just for reference point, the Jack Johnson sold for $6,000 back in 2013. And that's, I mean, the hobby has grown a lot in over the
yeah,
last 10 years. But the fact that this Jim Jeffries sold for $3,000 today, um, I mean, I don't want to sound biased, but I think if most dealers saw this card, they would price it at like $100 or $200. They have no idea how rare these E125s are. But boxing collectors, they love these type of cards. So
yeah.
because of that, I had to share it. Now, this is a card I don't know anything about, so this goes straight over to you, Matt. You talk to me about the 7-Eleven Wilt Chamberlain.
I could tell you more about 7-Eleven Magic Motions than you would ever believe. So, of course, 7-Eleven made Magic Motions mostly in the 80s are the ones people are familiar with. The disc ones that you've seen, they're super cheap. You
Yep,
can
the
find
disc
them
ones
all
are in
around.
music as well.
Yeah, there's a ton of them out there. In 1978, they did what is probably believed to be more like a test run of these. They had just plucked the, I believe, CEO of Xenograph that made those little designs to come work for 7-Eleven development. And so they created these. People that were alive, they say on the back that they go on the bottom of slushy cups, but nobody can seem to remember ever seeing these. Originally, the research was, hey, maybe these were like super regional, but they've come up in California as well as the Pittsburgh area. So it doesn't seem like they were, maybe just produced in like a couple stores regionally and then came out. So nobody really knows if these ever made it to production or not. It's generally considered that they never did, considering one, how incredibly rare they are, and then two, I mean, 1978, my dad was, it was an adult, your dad was an adult. Like they don't remember seeing these until the 80s. So it's the highest graded PSA one. There's also an SGC 4 that I've seen. I do have a Magic Motion. I have OG was actually the first graded one. Now there's more that have popped up. But they are incredibly rare from this set. They look really cool. They look like the ones from the 80s. They have a bunch of info on the back. They have all the different sports that are there. But this is probably the most expensive one. The Ty Cobb to me would maybe sell for a little bit more. It's never publicly sold, but I do know of two of them that exist. But this was an awesome sale for someone that really loves these weird Magic Motion cards.
I think Wilt would outsell Cobb just because Wilt, if I remember correctly, did play into the 70s, whereas Cobb, I mean, I believe he passed away way before the 70s. So I think
Well, he did not 78. He was not playing,
no, but he
and
played in what, 71 or 72, somewhere around there.
I think 74, 75.
Okay. So
I think that the Cobb is going to be rarer than the Wilt once they all surface. From the people that I know that have them, the Cobb seems to be way harder to find than the Wilt. Like I said, there's an SGC one, there's also a PSA one, but I know there's raw copies of the Wilt out there. I've seen them before. There is also a rarer variation of these Magic Motions that look identical but are in a disc format with a hole in the middle. Those have never graded, but I do know they exist. I've seen them in person before, but they don't have the same markings as on the back of these. It says clearly 7-Eleven Magic Motion. It has the year, everything like that.
78 also assumed on those discs or no?
There is nothing on the discs. Though those were dated through another strategy that would take a while to get to, but they do exist. I've seen them in person. but they look identical to these, other than being a circle.
This was one of the two T206 error cards that I saw at the National. I'm putting both in here because I thought they're pretty awesome. But you don't really see that many that have two cards in one, and then also a little bit of a rarer back than with the EPDG. $4,000 on this specific copy.
That's cool.
Uh, I thought we were gonna win the slot,
I
but
can't believe you pulled this up in the honorable mentions. You're gonna do it. Do it to
I'm
me
gonna do it
again.
because we bid around I think $2,500 on this lot, and we felt pretty confident with that $2,500 bid. But yeah, we're
And
way
we've
off.
and we've talked about this before on the channel. I do not understand how people that buy these shoebox lots price these items. We priced every single card, and we came to a value of like 3 grand or so raw, and then we wanted to pay like 25 or whatever. I don't understand. I don't think we missed
I
anything
think
other
people,
than, which we've talked about before, is the unnamed cards. The lot said there's 171 Hall of Famers, and it had photos of all of them. It listed them all. And then it said there's 270,
I know,
non-Hall of Famers unlisted. And I was like, dude, I'm not paying more than like $1 a card for
and that's
these.
what
Like,
we priced it in.
I don't know who these people are. Like, who's paying more than $1 for cards that are just showing up? And like, maybe we undervalued those, but not 2 grand undervalued them.
I think
So I
where
don't.
I think where we undervalued stuff is people assumed that cards would grade out specifically, and
Well,
they
yeah,
thought,
that's is that people list it like they put in the description, near min, EX, whatever. Like I'm not taking their opinion on it. Like they're incentivized to give you a higher number. So I looked over the cards, and I even priced in. Remember on those 69s, I
you
priced
did,
in
you priced in
higher
the
because
grade.
I thought they were way nicer, and I was like, yo, keep these prices. These are going to grade well. I, I don't. Maybe the bread for health that was in there, people priced higher than I did. I don't think so. I priced that at like $700 just because I wanted it. But if you won this lot and you do not want the bread for health that's in there, I will buy it from you immediately. It was the only reason I wanted to buy this lot, was the bread for health. I didn't care about the rest of these cards in it. They were nice, but it's not really what I collect. All I wanted was that card, and I assume the person doesn't really care that much about it. Maybe they did. Maybe that's what they want. They wanted to spend 2 grand on the bread for health. I don't know.
Another card, this is an awesome 1951 Jesse Owens. This is
Yeah.
sweet.
I like I said in the break, I don't know how I missed this. This normally is on my radar. I wouldn't have spent 9 grand on it. It's not really what I collect, but it's super nice. That auto looks really good on the Burke Ross. I like the way the autographs look on a lot of the Burke Ross. I think they come out really good with the lighter color that the cards generally have. This is a really cool piece. I really do like this.
And we were talking about it. He does have a 1936 card that is signed. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's earlier, and who knows what that would do at auction. A pretty early cop card. This was issued either 1906 or 1907. So if you look at dating on Cobb memorabilia or cards in general, he doesn't really have much from 1906 or '07. I know a few postcards. So this could be, and I'm putting quotes, one of the first Cobb cards, and it sold for $11,100.
Yeah, I think this one is generally considered more than likely to be his earliest image or whatever you want to call it. I really like this card. This is one that I actually wish I had, and I actually had a chance to buy for about $2,000 a long time ago. Didn't really want to do it, and now it's run quite a bit from there. But I love this card. I love the super super early images of players, even if it's on something like this. It's more of a display of everybody.
And that's Sam Crawford, I assume, right over there.
Yep.
And Bill Donovan, Wild Bill. So then a 1940 Honest Wagner auto on the play ball. Highest graded example on this one for an auto and the card itself, $11,700.
I mean, it's great. I can't believe that auto got a 9, but you know, good for the grader, or the person that got this graded. I mean, this is a cool card. I would love it. I'm surprised it got a 9, but you know, I think autograph grades are, you know, a little up and down.
Super subjective on that. Another autograph over here. This got the 10 auto, Nolan Ryan Venny. In a one, $13,200. We were talking about you can still get Nolan Ryan autos through his foundation. And someone probably did pretty well because I want to say normal ones on this Venny are like 8 to 10 grand. So by adding in there, you might have had $3,000 to $5,000 in value.
Yeah, nah. I mean, you added. I mean, he's $75 through the mail through his foundation, so you know, you did pretty well on it.
Another card I saw at the National, I had to cover it in this video. This sold for $15,000. I'm just going to read off what REA said. Said the card, which is hand cut, likely originates from a factory run sheet that was not up to standard and was used as scrap, possibly put through the presses again for the purpose of testing the inks or some other aspects of the printing process. I mean, look at how wild that is. And 15 grand.
Where were Piedmonts printed? Were they weren't Richmond, were they?
I can't remember.
Wonder how many
But
of those are laying around in my neighborhood.
but that is such a sick card. The Champions Ruth, the one that you've been trying to chase, 16-8 and a 3.
Yeah, man, I would love that card. I think I'm gonna end up just getting a 1, unless I could get a 2 at like a really nice price. A 3 is out of my price range for something like this. I'm you know spending 17,000 on it. Yeah, I'd love a 1 or something like that, but you know, we'll see. I love this card.
A home run derby set, 20 cards. This was issued for the first home run derby, I believe. And a lot of big names. I'm kind of surprised they didn't put Frank Robinson on the first page, but you still have Banks, Mantle, Mays, Aaron, Matthews, and Snyder.
Yeah,
I love
nice.
the design on these too, and you don't see them pop that often, but 25 grand for this set. Another really awesome piece, 1953 Jello pack. And one of 6 examples out there, $36,000. It's nuts for a pack. But I understand if there's a pack collectors going after that. And I don't know
Yeah,
how many
that
cards are in this
the
either.
grade is actually really nice. Those older packs, man. I mean, you think about how hard it was to keep it like that. 5 on that's actually really nice. I would love to see what those cards are great if they were broken open. They never will, but I would love to see what they would do because 5 on the pack is actually really good for the you know the cards on the inside.
Babe Ruth card that was issued essentially to movie theaters for the movie Heading Home, $36,000. Maybe this is trimmed or maybe all these are authentics. I'm not super familiar with this card. Maybe you have some input on that.
Yeah, I can't remember. I think they all were trimmed. I think they're all cut. I might be wrong with that, but we've been actually seeing these pop up a little bit more. We've covered the heading home before. People really like these. I don't know if you really like them. I don't think they're my favorite looking Ruth
They're
card, but
okay.
you
But I
know,
mean, I'm sure they're scarcer than some of his other early 1920s cards. So that's why you get that premium.
yeah.
A Kareem and a 9, $49,000. This they said this is the highest at SGC.
Mm. Interesting choice to go with SGC. You know, I'll give them their props. I guess maybe if you have a grading company, if SGC doesn't have the same pop at the high end that PSA does, maybe it actually is worth it. Like imagine, I don't know how many PSA nines exist, but I've got a bunch. And if there's no SGC nines that exist, maybe it actually makes more sense to get the highest graded SGC just so you can say that and maybe sell a little bit more. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, or someone speculating on them being able to cross SGC to PSA in the future.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, 84 star. He's got a big bump in pricing due to the PSA grading him, which is hilarious. No one wanted the card. I wouldn't say no one wanted the cards, but the demand compared to today,
It was
where it was in the
nothing.
past, 9A difference. And this one sold for 52.8.
Yeah, the understanding of one, the scarcity of these compared to 86, and two, the centering issues that these cards have. make the high end for this. I mean, you can buy the low end ones for not nearly as much, but when you start talking about really upper end centering and just really nice in general, these are really moving. And a lot of it, like I said, it's really driven on centering issues and just these cards being in lower production, just being a little bit harder to keep nice.
Old Judge Cabinet of Ed. I forget how to pronounce his last name. I'm gonna say probably gonna butcher it, and you can roast me down below. Delhanty. So REA said this was the second time that this card has been offered at any auction house in the last 20 years, and he has very few cards of them out there since he passed away in 1903. And if you're familiar with baseball cards, 1888 around that era had a few different sets. 1890s you have your Mayos, and then 1903 you have your E107s. But it's really a big period where there's not many baseball cards out there. There's people that want to get a card of every Hall of Famer, so this one sold for $56,400 on the cabinet.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
I believe he is. Let me just double check.
I'm looking. Yeah, he is. He is. Yeah.
70 wins above replacement, 152 OPS plus. And he died in the middle of his career, 1903.
Yeah, it is a big boy card. I've never seen that.
Oh, he
Interesting.
died in Niagara Falls. I want to say there's a story I heard about him dying in Niagara Falls.
Wow.
Let's see what it says over here. I know we're getting a little off track, but I'm really curious what it says. When he either fell in the Niagara River or swept over Niagara Falls in 1903. He was kicked off a train by the train's conductor, yep, for being drunk and disorderly. This is the story I remember. The conductor said Delhanty was brandishing a straight razor and threatening passengers after he consumed 5 whiskeys.
That's tough.
After being kicked off the train, he started his way across the International Railway Bridge and either fell or jumped off the bridge.
Hmm.
And there you go.
There you go.
And I think this is the last one, but 1952 Topps Master Set. I'm only missing the mantle, all PSA graded, slightly under $60,000. Mays and Matthews both are in authentics, which is kind of funny. You can get the whole set cheaper than a mantle.
Yeah.
But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Some really exciting stuff coming out really soon. Try to cover all these auctions. So if you want to check out some of the other past auction recaps, make sure to watch those on the channel too. And thank you to a few channel members, Paul, Giles, Alaska Picker, and Aaron.